right, buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into a life that's anything but ordinary.
Oh, absolutely.
Marvin Herbert.
Yeah.
This is a guy who went from, well, a name you didn't want to hear whispered in London to, well, let's just say he's marching to the beat of a very different drum these days.
Totally different.
And we're lucky enough to have some excerpts from a recent interview he did.
Oh, wow.
And trust me, you are going to want to hear this.
I can't wait.
So, right off the bat, what struck me is how open he is about his past.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't shy away at all.
Not one bit.
We're talking large-scale criminal activity, violence. He even admits to kind of being an attention seeker, wanting that biggest, baddest reputation.
And, you know, that need for validation, that desire for control, it often comes from somewhere, right? Like he talks about the social climate when he was growing up, the abuse he saw, and you start to think,
Yeah.
how much of that shaped his need to be the one calling the shots?
Yeah.
To have the power.
And he even says that his generation put a stop to a lot of the abuse that was happening, particularly in, like, care homes.
Mm.
They fought back, and sometimes brutally.
Yeah.
And he says that ultimately they stopped it.
It's a complicated thing, right?
Totally.
Because on the one hand, you've got this almost vigilante justice narrative, you know?
Right.
But on the other, how can you ignore the fact that these kids were forced into survival mode in the first place?
Exactly.
Like the system failed them.
Totally.
And that's a huge part of this.
And then there's a story he tells about, I think it was a beggar who wouldn't join him in the criminal world, and he beat him up.
It's that story for me really sums up the contradictions in Marvin's journey.
Oh, tell me more.
Because was it pure cruelty?
Yeah.
Or was it this warped sense of tough love? You know?
Yeah.
Like he genuinely thought he was showing this guy the only way to make it, to survive.
Right.
It's dark, but it adds this whole other layer to the work he does now with HMP, you know, his organization for at-risk youth.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's trying to atone for those past actions, but offering a different path forward for these kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
It really makes you think.
It does.
And here's where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So today, Marvin's living, well, a pretty simple life. Like we're talking like a porta-cabin, limited funds.
Really?
A far cry from the life he used to have.
Wow.
Makes you wonder, did he choose this? Or is it kind of, you know, the price he's paying for his past?
It's a question you keep coming back to, right?
Right.
But remember how he talked about proving people wrong?
Yeah.
About finding strength in being alone?
Yeah.
Maybe this is another way he's doing that. This
Mhm.
time proving it to himself.
I see. Yeah.
Like, this is my choice. This is my strength.
But he talks about eating healthy, funding these projects.
Yeah.
And he's practically skint. How's he making that work?
This is where Marvin's logic kind of takes a detour, you know?
What do you mean?
He says, this is how you see who's real and who's not.
Oh, interesting.
That real growth, it comes from scarcity, from having almost nothing.
It's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
Totally.
You'd think you'd need, you know, resources to really thrive.
But maybe he's proving something there too.
You think?
Like he's defying expectations, even his own, and maybe that's how he operates best.
And speaking of defying expectations,
yeah.
can we talk about these 26-hour workout circuits?
Yeah, it's intense, right?
26 cities, 26 months, 26 hours of nonstop exercise.
It's wild.
What is the method to this madness?
It's like he traded one obsession for another, right?
You think so?
That all or nothing energy he had,
Yeah.
it's still there, but channeled differently.
Interesting.
Like now it's all about pushing his body to the absolute limit.
But is it just physical?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Is it just about testing his body, or is there something more,
Like what?
I don't know, a need to manage his past? Maybe even punish himself a bit, you know?
It's definitely intense.
Oh, for sure.
And he goes into a lot of detail.
Like a lot.
Describing every, like, power clean, burpee. He even talks about specific punches on a heavy bag.
It's something.
But I gotta say, he seems to have found something that works for him.
Yeah, you can't deny that.
Even if it sounds absolutely crazy to us.
And that's the thing about reinvention,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes it comes in the most unexpected forms.
Mm.
Maybe this madness, this is how he regains control.
How do you mean?
Like he's taking all that intensity,
Yeah.
that energy that used to fuel his, you know, his darker side,
Right.
and he's channeling it into this.
Wow.
It's like he's rewriting his story, literally with every beat of sweat.
And we can't ignore some of the, shall we say, unconventional stuff he talks about.
Oh, yeah, the guy's got his own methods.
Like what?
He mentions drinking from, get this, A bacteria-filled cup.
What?
Bacteria.
Ah.
Who knows with this guy?
Yeah.
And then there's the extreme fasting, even hints at out-of-body experiences during these workouts.
It's a lot.
It really is.
It definitely makes you rethink what reform even means, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, he's got his own unique, some might say bizarre worldview.
Yeah, but there's this conviction there.
Right.
A belief that this, however strange it seems, this is his path.
Makes you think, what is success really?
Exactly.
If not finding what works for you.
Even if it doesn't fit the mold.
Even if it makes no sense to anyone else.
Exactly. It's his life, his journey.
So he even says he's going to be knighted.
What?
Can you imagine?
Right.
Sir Marvin Herbert. It's almost funny.
It's wild.
But with this guy, you never really know.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Right.
It's that unpredictability
Yeah.
that makes his story so compelling.
Totally.
Because you're left thinking,
Yeah.
is he delusional?
Right.
Is he ambitious?
Yeah.
Or is there something else there? Like a real chance that something remarkable could come out of all this chaos.
And he connects all of this to this bigger plan orchestrated by, the universe itself.
Right.
Throughout the whole interview, he talks about this spiritual side of himself.
Interesting.
Speaking to the universe, getting guidance, this unwavering faith in his path.
And that's where his personal philosophy really comes in, this blend of New Age ideas and conspiracy theories. It's a lot to process, but it just shows you that human needs to make sense of things.
Absolutely.
To ask the big questions.
Totally.
Even if you don't agree with his answers, you got to admire that.
He even says that the universe helped him walk again after he got shot.
Oh, wow.
Said he stopped the morphine.
Really?
Because the universe told him he'd be walking in 2.5 years. And guess what?
No way.
He was walking again.
It makes you think, right?
Yeah.
About the power of belief.
For sure.
Like whether you call it divine intervention, placebo, whatever.
Yeah.
Marvin's belief in something bigger than himself, it's undeniable.
And then he goes on about this reality being a simulation.
Oh, boy.
Humans as, spiritual beings trapped in physical bodies.
It's a lot to unpack.
I know, right?
But it's that human thing.
Yeah. I mean,
try to understand our place in all of this questioning reality.
it's deep.
It is.
Even his lifestyle, Yeah. The fasting, the workouts, that bacteria cup. He sees it as rejecting what society says and going back to a more natural way of being.
So it's he's built his own system.
Yeah.
His own set of beliefs that make sense to him.
Totally.
In a world that, let's face it, can feel pretty chaotic.
For sure.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Is Marvin Herbert a reformed gangster turned spiritual guru? Or is he, I don't know, still figuring it out, one 26-hour workout at a time?
I think that's the beauty of it, really. His story, it's open-ended, full of contradictions.
Yeah.
He makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about redemption, success, what it even means to change.
And he just might be headed for Buckingham Palace.
Who knows? Maybe he will.
With Marvin, anything's possible.
That's for sure.
Well, he did say that everyone has a purpose, right? That the universe has a plan.
Yeah.
Maybe he's onto something.
Maybe we all are.
Something to think about.
Definitely.
As we wrap up our deep dive on the enigma that is Marvin Herbert.
Absolutely. What a story.